Alex, welcome to our annual water communion. If you are a visitor here and would like to stay in touch with you, please fill out the visitor form that you see in the chat box. Or if you're a visitor here, please come talk to one of the staff members. The chat feature for Zoom has been disabled, except for chatting with the tech host if you're having some technical issues. You can either use the chat function or you can use the hand tool in Zoom to get the technician's attention. I want to ask for your continued patience with us as we work to develop a very meaningful and robust multi-platform service. I encourage you to share with us if you particularly like a specific element, or if you didn't. That feedback is really important, but expect that we may have a glitch or two along the way. Now, if we were in person, we would all be able to greet each other with a wave or this or something, but some of us are on Zoom. So we're starting this morning by, here in the sanctuary, we're doing the gallery view of the people who are on Zoom. So if the folks in the Zoom would wave at the congregation, we would appreciate that. And in a moment, we will wave back to you. It's good to see you all. And now, if everybody in the congregation would look at Alex. Thank you. Oops. We'll start with our announcements this morning. And if you are watching on Zoom and think I'm being shifty-eyed by looking over to the side, that's because I can see the screen that has the announcements on it. If you have questions about Northwest, you can visit our website. You can talk to Cheryl Goldberg, our membership governor, or Ben Gable, our office administrator. Our September theme is embracing possibility, and we're certainly doing that today with a combined multi-platform water communion. Upcoming services, we have a memorial service this afternoon at 3 o'clock for Bud Felton. And Mark Babcock is here with the quilt that he made as a farewell gift from our congregation to Reverend Kimmy. There is space on the back for everyone to sign. So if you haven't done so yet, please make your way to the table where Mark is seated to sign. And if you're on Zoom and want to sign it, call the office. Does that work? And we'll figure out how to get it to you.
Thanks, Ben. If all fails, you can call me.
Okay. Call Ben. Our upcoming Sunday services include an 8th principal service, and then on the 26th, Reverend Beck talking about what my daughter taught me. Our religious education program is taking place outdoors today. They're going to have a snack, a story, and they're going to tie-dye t-shirts and have their own water communion. And the children are meeting outdoors, and they are expected to wear masks and have a health check. Our virtual service auction is coming up on Saturday, November 13th, and we have one spot left for the fabulous Flint walking tour, Saturday, the September 18th. If you're interested, please call Sherry Smith. You can stay connected by downloading the Breeze app onto your phone, going to our website and signing up for our newsletter. And if you've missed a service, they are recorded and edited and put on our YouTube channel, and you can join our Northwest Friends Facebook page. Banter with the board takes place after the service today. You can stay in the sanctuary if you want to participate, or in the main room of the Zoom session. October board member is Thursday the 14th, and we have a congregational meeting on Sunday the 17th. There is a volunteer job fair coming up on October 10th. Our plate collection this month goes to the Southfield Emergency Needs Fund. Half of the money we collect via our plate today will go to support our neighbors in Southfield who are experiencing emergency hardships.
Good morning. My name is the Reverend Kevin DeBeck. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And my opening words this morning are from the Reverend Kate Romano Griffin. And she says, "Come, let us enter this space of hope and community. Come, let us enter this space of our sorrows, our joys, our passion, and compassion. Come, let us enter this space with stories of our ancestors, for their strength and wisdom beats in our hearts. Come into this space, present to the beloved companions who will be beside us or online. Come into this space, mindful that together we are building a future for other generations. Come into this space and let us worship."
Our chalice lighting words this morning are "The Spirit of Water" by Katie Gefland. We light this chalice as a symbol of reunion. We reunite in the sanctuary and online to share the flow of our hearts with one another. We gather together in ritual to celebrate our fountains of joy, to hold each other through storms of grief, to guide one another through rapids of transformation, to rest together on ponds of stillness. Together, we honor the Spirit of Water in its many forms and its life-giving essence.
Our opening hymn this morning is hymn number 203, "All Creatures of Earth and Sky."
We gather here with joyous heart, for all too long we've been apart. Alleluia, alleluia, we celebrate this wondrous day, when we escape our hideaways, we together, alleluia.
The water ritual that we're about to perform was originally put together by the Reverend Daniel O'Connell and structured by the Reverend Roberta Finkelstein and Catherine Williamson, who was the Director of Religious Education at the First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, Delaware. So the structure of how this is going together and the words I'm using are from those, based on the work of those three people. We need one another to nourish and replenish each other, to love each other and care for each other, and to help each other to make the world a better place. And that's why we have Ingathering. Once a year, just as school is starting and our religious education program is getting going, we come together to celebrate the fact that we exist. And that's no more needed now over the last year and a half than I think maybe, at least in my lifetime anyway. In the water communion, we ritually reconstitute our beloved community. As you mingle your water offerings in the common bowl or at home, think about what they represent, both about your individual experiences over the summer and about our life together as a congregation. Over the course of the year, we will continue, each in our own ways, to reconstitute this congregation by adding and mingling your particular gifts in the common bowl of community, either in person here in the sanctuary or by coming together via Zoom or what other digital platform that we all use. For some of you, water communion will be a new experience. For others, it may be different in the ways that we've done it before. We will be asking you to come up and to pour your water at different times, depending on where the source of the water that you brought with you came from, or where you wish it had come from, which is why we have a pitcher down there, if you wish to pour some virtual water into the bowl that's down there. I will also say we have a cruette down there. When I first organized my stuff in the church office, or in the minister's office, that was labeled, it said 2019 H2O. So we have water from the last time this was done in person 2 years ago. Listen carefully for when it's your turn, and be assured that there will be a time for every one of you to come up and to pour your water in the bowl, either here or virtually. If you don't have water to pour, come up anyway and pour from the pitcher that we have down there, because water communion is for everybody. And before we start this, I have a litany, and this is a call and response. And every time I give a line, the response here or at home will be, we carry our water. I now invite you all to join us in the litany for water communion. From deep wells and hidden springs, we carry our water. From faraway places and close to home, we carry our water. Water forms the soup of all life. It quenches our thirst. It cleans our bodies. We carry our water. All people are connected by one stream. Water covers the planet. It runs through our veins. We carry our water. Water carries the memory of boiling steam and of deep blue ice. We carry a vision of the future and a story of our past. We carry our water. Our vision pours forth hope. Our commitment surges too. Many streams make one river. Many people, one church. We bring our water to mingle in communion. We bring ourselves to mingle in communion. We carry our water. We are connected by the water of life. We give thanks for this community of memory and hope. We carry our water. We'll begin our water service by pouring in water from previous years. This reminds us that all of the water that we have on this earth has been here from the beginning. It was here before us and will be here after we have all left this planet. Everything that has ever lived on earth has tasted this water, so shall it be with us. So the first part of water communion I'll be talking about ponds and streams, and these are words from Catherine Williamson. One of my favorite peaceful places to go is a pond in the woods with a little stream trickling in it. How many of you brought water from a pond or a stream? Have you ever sat at the edge of a pond and just watched? It seems so still at first. In fact, I remember some of the lakes I used to visit when I was a kid at night where the sun was going down, it was very calm, and you could just see how glass-like the water was. The water doesn't seem to move much. It's sort of like a mirror in which you can see yourself and the rest of nature. But then you begin to notice signs of life: frogs, skeeters skimming across the surface, little fish, plants growing out of the muck on the bottom of the pond. Ponds are brimming with life. And how about the streams? The sound of the water moving is such a happy sound, like it can't wait to get to where it's going, and it just loves the journey. Ponds and streams make me think of happy sounds, energy and enthusiasm, and the joy about life. I bet that some of you have drops of happiness or are feeling proud of your vials. Let's think for a moment about happiness, and that seems like a radical thing to think about in a time of pandemic. Well, let's take a moment and think about something that brings us happiness. Now, if you feel comfortable doing so, call out what made you happy this summer. Just say it out loud. For those of you who have water from a pond or stream, please walk to the front and pour your water in the bowl. If you didn't bring any water, or if you wish you had water from a pond or stream, come up and take the pitcher and pour a little in. Come up and do so now. Where I'm from, no. Other places, they don't seem to make that much of a distinction. Oh, first of all, in case you all didn't hear, Tom asked, is a lake or pond the same thing? And where I'm from, no, they're different. It kind of depends on the size. Lakes tend to be bigger. All right, the next piece is oceans, with words from the Reverend Roberta Finkelstein. Let's talk about the ocean. How many of you brought water from an ocean? I know, they're kind of hard to reach from here. Ugh. At the ocean, waves come crashing into the shore, and then the tide pulls the water out again in a steady rhythm. Oceans are so deep that in some places, people have never seen the bottom. Huge creatures live in the ocean: whales and eels and strange-looking fish. When the water is really rough, it can be scary. Have any of you ever been scared of the ocean? I'll tell you, the first time I really swam in the ocean was on my honeymoon, and I stood there and I looked up and I saw a wave that was taller than I was, and it kind of freaked me out. Ocean water is salty. Has anyone ever tasted salt water? You wonder how anything can live in that water, yet the ocean is teeming with all kinds of life. You know what else is made of salty water? Tears. Maybe some of you had sad things happen to you over the summer, or disappointing things, or scary things. Maybe some of you had tears in your vial of water. Let's think quietly for a moment about some of the sadnesses we've had. Now I invite you to speak out loud the names of who, for whatever reason, are in need of our care and concern. As a caring community, we hold in our hearts all that we know of our human experiences, spoken and unspoken, from members present and absent throughout this hour of worship. Those of you who have water from the ocean, please walk it to the front and pour the water in the bowl. Again, if you don't have any ocean water and just want to remark or use it as virtual water, come up and take the pitcher and pour some of it in the bowl. Please do so now. The next one is about rivers, again with words from the Reverend Roberta Finkelstein. The poet Langston Hughes wrote, "My soul has grown deep like the rivers. Rivers bring life to many different places. Farmers depend on them. So do animals. So do people. Rivers are deep and powerful. Think about your summer. Did any of you do any growing or learning or anything that made your soul a little deeper, like a river? Think about that for a moment. If you have water from a river, or you wish to use some of the water in the pitcher to represent a river that has meant something to you, please come up and do so now. Oh, could you pour a little for me? This is in honor of the Penobscot River, which is the river I grew up next to. Thank you. Jake Myers will now pour in some water from the children's ritual that has taken place outside. As he pours the water, let's take a moment to reflect on the joys of playing in water as children, the bodies of water that meant something to us. Let's also reflect on the realities of the pandemic and that we in this congregation are doing our utmost to keep our children safe and healthy. Thank you. And the last piece here is called All Other Water, with words from Catherine Williamson. And she says, "Perhaps some of you still haven't had a chance to pour any water. Did we forget any place important? A puddle in your backyard, a swimming pool, maybe water from the faucet, perhaps places we haven't even thought of yet. And we can't forget that water, like all the elements of nature, can be a powerful force that helps sometimes and hurts sometimes. And it is even important to remember that not having water can also really hurt people. Our UU Service Committee reminds us that many people around the world do not have access to clean, safe water to drink or bathe in. So let's pause for a moment once more. Pause to be grateful for what we do have, clean water and plenty of it. Let's also pause to pray for those who don't have clean water. For those who have been flooded out of their homes, and I understand that's happened a lot in Michigan this summer. Let us all know the blessing of water. Let us all know the power of water. Let it all be blessed. Amen. This bowl filled with this simple substance reminds us all that is wonderful and deep about our life together in faith. In humility and gratitude, we remember that water both sustains and destroys life. We acknowledge the power and splendor of nature. Most importantly, let this bowl of shared water remind us that in this community, we are connected to each other by love and need and hope. For the water, for the source of water, for all who poured, and all those who joined in person or online, silently and invisibly in our active communion this morning, we are grateful. Our next hymn is hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. Oh, whoops. So you all had more water to pour. Come on, bring it down. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to leave you hanging out there. Okay, anybody else? Okay, now let's go to our next hymn, number 123, Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
I did my internship at the Unitarian Church of Evanston, Illinois, which is also the home of Northwestern University. On the campus is a Methodist seminary where I rented a dorm room, as living anywhere else in that area was prohibitively expensive. Northwestern is literally on the shores of Lake Michigan. And there were times that when I was either trying to finish a paper from when I was in seminary or figure out what I was doing in a worship service that I was going to lead, I would go for a walk on the Northwestern campus and stare out at Lake Michigan. It was a way of reminding myself that whatever I was feeling and thinking, there's a wider universe that's bigger than me, and it helped remind me of my place in the grand scheme of things. Water has a way of doing that. It's something that's quite literally a part of us, yet at the same time, it is bigger than all of us. In recent weeks, we've been reminded of the power of water as the climate change-fueled Hurricane Ida went up the Appalachian mountain chain and dumped records amounts of water on Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey. I saw images of subways that looked like they were under waterfalls. I saw an interview with an older gentleman tell about how over the course of his last 10 years, his house has been flooded 3 times due to these kinds of storms, and how he's getting too old to rebuild his house again, with sadness in his eyes and a hitch in his voice. While the eastern US was underwater, the western half is drying up. We've seen those images too, of reservoirs drying up, rivers slowing to a trickle, and all the fires due to the lack of moisture. Truly, the power of water giveth, and the power of water taketh away. Similar to me staring at the vastness of Lake Michigan, these problems feel much bigger than any one individual can take on, and it is. Climate change, it's real, and it's happening right before our eyes. So then the question becomes, what can we do about it? In my mind, it starts with electing leaders that believe in climate science, because the problem is global in scale, and it will take a global solution with the power of world governments to fix this. It's hard not to be disheartened. There seems to be a lack of political will to tackle this, but I will say that there are signs that change is coming, be it very slowly. In the United Kingdom, according to an article from Scientific American from July of this year, states that the United Kingdom will end its use of coal-fired power by October 2024, a year earlier than scheduled, as it pushes other countries toward greater climate ambition ahead of a global warming summit it's hosting in November. The UK has come a long way from the days when a thick blanket of coal-fueled smog fell over London in the 1950s. As recently a decade ago, coal accounted for roughly 40% of the country's power generation. Energy and Climate Change Minister Anne-Marie Trevelyan, I hope I'm saying that right, said the move is a clear signal that the UK is leading the way on consigning coal power to the history books. In the Scandinavian countries of Sweden, Norway, Finland, and Denmark, they have all passed laws reducing their carbon footprint. Here in the United States, while certain senators seem to care more for keeping an arcane Jim Crow era rule in place, there are states that are offering solutions. In my home state of Maine, the legislature in the last few years have outlawed the use of styrofoam containers and recently outlawed the use of plastic shopping bags. In 2019, Governor Janet Mills, who happens to be Maine's first woman governor, signed into law a goal to get 100,000 heat pumps to replace oil furnaces for heating. Here in Michigan, in an article from mlive.com a year ago, Governor Whitmer signed an executive order to create a plan to reduce carbon emissions by 2050. The article also states that Michigan's two largest utilities, Consumers Energy and DTE Energy, are already working on carbon reduction on a similar timeline. DTE wants to reach net zero emissions by 2050 and consumers by 2040. These efforts include moving away from old coal-fired power plants toward natural gas plants and expanding renewable generations. And of course, in California, that has the world's fifth largest economy. If it were a country, it would have the world's fifth largest economy, has been passing laws about emissions for the last 40 years, and they continue to work in that direction. We've also heard about ways that individuals can make changes, but individuals alone can't stop this. It's very much like working for social justice. Social justice and change does not happen with one person or one homogenized group. Social justice is most effective when done with large groups of diverse people, where those who are repressed or discriminated against take the lead. Working to stop climate change is no different. But closing words to you today are this: don't despair and don't get complacent. While there are advancements and progress, they are just a start. More bold action needs to be taken if we are to save ourselves. And we are the authors of our own salvation. No supreme being or alien force is going to swoop down and fix these problems that we've done to ourselves. We created these problems, so we have the brains to fix them. Our seventh principle states that we have respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. This is part of our good news to the world. We don't have to wait for a savior or an afterlife to make things better. We work now in this life to save ourselves and our planet. I leave you today with the words of the Reverend Wayne Arneson, who says, "Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down, there is another truth. You are not alone." Our next hymn is hymn number 1064, Blue Boat Home.
I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun my sail and moon my rudder, as I fly the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls.
Before we wrap things up today, we're going to take a few moments to memorialize those that we have lost over the course of the last year. I don't have a list of names in front of me, but I just want to say I want to thank those who helped put this together. So thank you. Okay, let's try this again, shall we? The closing words are called Blessing of the Boats by Lucille Clift. And she says, "May the tide that is entering even now, the lip of our understanding, carry you out beyond the face of fear. May you kiss the wind, then turn from it, certain that it will love you back. May you open your eyes to water, water waving forever, and may you in your innocence sail through this to that." Amen and blessed be.